Welcome to Echo of Crime YouTube channel. On the morning of April 22, 2020, 20-year-old Vanessa Guillén reported for duty at the U.S. Army's Fort Hood base in Killeen, Texas, one of the largest and busiest military installations in the country. Vanessa was known for her discipline, focus, and strong work ethic. She dreamed of serving her country and had already expressed interest in becoming a military police officer. But behind her dedication, Vanessa carried a heavy burden she shared only with her family. She had been experiencing sexual harassment from someone within her chain of command. Although she feared retaliation and never filed an official complaint, her family later said she had been deeply troubled by it. That morning, Vanessa was assigned to work in the armory room, a secure area where soldiers check weapons and equipment. She arrived on time and began her tasks as usual. But sometime between 10 a.m. and 11:30 a.m., Vanessa stopped responding to messages. Her fellow soldiers noticed her absence, but assumed she had been reassigned or stepped away briefly. Hours passed with no word. When her belongings, her car keys, ID card, wallet, and barracks key were discovered still inside the armory, supervisors became concerned. Vanessa never left her items behind. She never left her post without informing someone. Something was wrong. By late afternoon, Vanessa's family received a call that changed everything. The Army notified them that Vanessa was missing, but offered few details. Her car was still in the parking lot. She hadn't returned to her barracks. She wasn't answering her phone. With each unanswered question, worry turned to fear. Vanessa's sister drove straight to Fort Hood, demanding answers. Confusion filled the base as soldiers searched buildings, training fields, and motor pools. Yet not a single trace of Vanessa was found. What no one realized then was that the events of that morning would expose far more than a disappearance. Vanessa's case would soon shine a spotlight on deeper problems within Fort Hood, problems that had been quietly growing for years. And the search for her would become one of the most emotional, public, and consequential cases in modern U.S. military history. As the hours passed on April 22, 2020, the sense of urgency around Vanessa Guillén's disappearance grew. Her family arrived at Fort Hood demanding involvement in the search, but early communication from the base was limited and unclear. Officials initially described Vanessa as absent without leave, a suggestion her family immediately rejected. Vanessa was responsible, focused, and deeply committed to her duty. She would never simply walk away. As night fell, soldiers continued searching the motor pool, nearby fields, barracks, and armory buildings, but no sign of Vanessa emerged. It was as if she had vanished from one of the most secure military installations in America. The next morning, Fort Hood leadership expanded the search. Helicopters swept over training grounds. Military police combed heavily wooded areas surrounding the base. Volunteers and soldiers checked drainage ditches and abandoned infrastructure. Still nothing. Vanessa's family became the loudest voice in the room, refusing to let the investigation stall. Her mother, sisters, and boyfriend held daily vigils outside the base gates, urging officials to take the case seriously. The more they spoke, the more the public listened. Meanwhile, investigators quietly turned their attention to a soldier who had been among the last to see Vanessa alive, Specialist Aaron Robinson. Robinson worked in the same area of the armory and had been observed acting strangely after Vanessa went missing. His statements about his whereabouts shifted subtly as investigators questioned him. At first, he said he hadn't seen Vanessa that day. Later, he admitted he had been in the armory around the same time she disappeared. Surveillance footage showed him leaving the base in the middle of the day, an unusual move for someone on duty. Despite the mounting suspicions, Robinson was not immediately detained. Instead, he was restricted to the base. This decision frustrated Vanessa's family, who felt that a potentially dangerous suspect was being allowed too much freedom. But investigators insisted that they needed more evidence before taking stronger action. As days turned into weeks, Vanessa's disappearance began drawing national attention. Social media erupted with posts demanding justice. Celebrities, activists, and public figures amplified the story, pushing it into headlines across the country. The hashtag Find Vanessa Guillén spread rapidly. People from all over the United States began traveling to Fort Hood to join searches along rivers, wooded trails, and rural farmland stretching miles from the base. Still, one question echoed louder than any other. How could a soldier disappear inside Fort Hood without anyone noticing? The deeper the search went, the more troubling facts emerged about the base itself. Families of other missing or deceased soldiers came forward with their own stories. Patterns of misconduct, delayed investigations, and ignored complaints painted a picture of systemic failures within Fort Hood's leadership. Vanessa's case was no longer just a disappearance. It was becoming the catalyst for a much larger reckoning. All the while, Specialist Robinson continued to quietly move through his restricted routines on the base, saying little, avoiding attention, and waiting. Investigators were following him closely, but they remained one crucial step behind. In the background, something far more disturbing had already begun unfolding, something that would only be uncovered months later, miles away from where Vanessa had last been seen. By late June 2020, after more than 2 months of searching, the investigation into Vanessa Guillén's disappearance reached a critical turning point. On June 30, 2020, contractors working near the Leon River discovered human remains buried in a shallow grave. The location was miles from Fort Hood, in a remote area thick with brush and rugged terrain. Investigators were immediately called to the scene. The discovery sent shockwaves through the community and devastated Vanessa's family, who had been hoping desperately for a safe return. Although DNA confirmation was still pending, the circumstances strongly indicated the remains were connected to Vanessa's case. As investigators recovered evidence from the scene, attention turned urgently back to Specialist Aaron Robinson, who had long been under suspicion. Law enforcement planned to bring him in for further questioning, but before they could act, Robinson fled the base. This sudden escape raised even more red flags. Local police tracked him down to a neighborhood in Killeen, where he was confronted. In the brief encounter that followed, Robinson took his own life. His death left behind a painful void. Critical answers about Vanessa's final moments were now locked away forever, known only to him. However, the investigation did not end there. Robinson's girlfriend, Cecily Aguilar, was arrested shortly after his escape. According to federal documents, she had assisted Robinson in attempting to hide and destroy evidence after Vanessa disappeared. Facing multiple charges, Aguilar became a central figure in piecing together the truth of what happened. Her involvement revealed how far the cover-up had gone and raised questions about both soldiers' movements in the days following Vanessa's disappearance. As the case unfolded publicly, the Pentagon launched an independent review of Fort Hood, examining the climate of leadership, accountability, and soldier welfare. What they found was alarming. The review revealed a long-standing pattern of ignored complaints, a culture of fear among soldiers experiencing harassment or assault, and repeated failures by command staff to properly respond to serious incidents. These findings led to disciplinary action against 14 Fort Hood officials, one of the largest administrative shakeups in modern Army history. But Vanessa's case resonated far beyond the military. Her story ignited a national movement focused on protecting service members from sexual harassment and assault, and addressing the failures of internal reporting systems. Her family, determined to honor her legacy, pushed relentlessly for legislative change. Their efforts culminated in the introduction of the Am Vanessa Guillén Act, which aimed to create safer reporting channels for soldiers and reduce fear of retaliation, one of the very factors that had left Vanessa feeling unable to formally report her harassment. Today, Vanessa Guillén is remembered not only as a dedicated soldier, but as a symbol of change. Her case forced one of the largest military bases in the United States to confront long-standing issues, inspired reforms in how misconduct is handled, and brought national awareness to the experiences of countless service members. While the full truth of what happened inside that armory room may never be known, Vanessa's story continues to drive a movement that ensures no soldier's voice will ever be ignored again.